Namibian communities whose ancestors were massacred by German colonial forces and had their property seized more than a century ago are calling for fresh talks with Berlin to negotiate the return of ancestral land. Germany agreed in May 2021 to fund projects worth $1.2 billion over 30 years to make up for the property seizures and killings by German colonial forces between 1904 and 1908, after the tribes rebelled against German rule. Here's a report from Windhoek.
Sand dunes in a desert in Namibia called Swakopmund is at the center of long-running disputes between the Germans and local residents. The Namibian communities are calling for more talks to negotiate the return of the land that the Germans had seized from their ancestors a century ago. Between 1904 and 1908, the Herero and Nama tribes rebelled against the German rule, resulting in the killings of thousands of Namibian people by the German colonial forces. To make up for the property seizures, in May 2021, Germany agreed to fund projects worth 1.1 billion euros over 30 years. Germany also officially described the massacre as a genocide for the first time. But the affected Herero and Nama communities argue that the 2021 joint declaration did not address the issue of land ownership.
Germany must come to a table, discuss with us, negotiate with Hereros and Namas, and together we agree on what is appropriate to repair the damage it has caused to the Hereros and Namas, wherever they are at the moment.
The joint declaration was subject to ratification by the Namibian parliament, but the process has been put on hold. This as the two governments discuss amending the joint declaration.
I think the joint declaration needs support, and it is definitely not the perfect model because the amount of compensation offered does not amount to reparations, but there is at least an offer on the table, and in the absence of anything else, I think we need to support it.
The late Namibian president, Age Eingob, is being praised for fast-tracking negotiations with Germany. But at the same time, he is also being criticized for excluding the descendants of the affected communities from the talks. Descendants of the genocide victims say this is a deviation from the 2006 parliamentary resolution. They assert that the negotiations should be between the victims, the affected communities, Herero and Nama, and the perpetrator governments.
Without land, they are nothing. So I think we must first focus on the land that our ancestral land must be returned back, you know. And you find thousands and thousands of the descendants of some of these slaves, you know, here. Some of them are staying in an informal settlement, and it's not their wish for them to stay there. You know, they are living in abject poverty. And then you find some of the descendants, you know, they are every morning they go to the dump site and search for food. You know, while Germany is still taking care of some of these children of perpetrators up to now, you know.
Historically, Germany was the third biggest colonial power after Britain and France. After World War I, it lost all its colonial territories, but for decades, historians and politicians ignored its colonial past, focusing on the legacy of the Nazi crimes, including the Holocaust. Formal negotiations with Namibia started in 2015. White people make up 5% of Namibia's population, but control over 70% of the prime agricultural land. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.